Good morning, traders from whichever side of the country world you're watching me from. Welcome to today's morning market call. My name is Ian Joseph, market analyst at HFM. A quick disclaimer before we do begin: the information herein is only meant for educational and informative purposes only. None of it should be construed as investment advice. Trading the financial markets do carry a degree of risk, but don't worry, I'm here to help you look at the markets the right way. I want to give a special shout out to Helena Waweru for being the first one to join the stream at Zeddy. Welcome. Today is a beautiful day. Ice Geek 254, welcome to the stream once again. Now, we do have the Shield 500 account, which I would want to tell you about. This is an account whereby if you do claim it within the first 10 days of registering, you have an opportunity to deposit anywhere between $10 and $500. Whatever losses you go through within the first 25 days, we are going to cover you the full amount. Basically, you're going to be trading real live market conditions risk-free. Once again, go over to your HFM, claim your Shield 500 account. You're going to have a leverage of 1:400. No commissions. You can trade all markets at the maximum protection. Once again, is going to be 500 USD. Now, login deposit, it's going to be at least $10 to 500 USD. Not only that, we have launched another promotion. If you go over to the promotion segment in the HF website, you do have the score and draw, whereby if you do click on it, it's going to open a new tab whereby, remember, last month we gave away a brand new Benz C200. We are now going to give away a brand new BMW 4 Series. Now, the competition is going to run from 1st of November till 28th of February next year, whereby you have an opportunity to redeem 25 points for one ticket for the BMW. You have an opportunity to win a trip for two to the United Kingdom, whichever club of your choice. If you want to support Arsenal, it's going to be Arsenal home game. If it's Manchester, it's going to be a Manchester home game. All expenses paid, trip for two, flights, accommodation, and the match tickets. You're going to redeem 20 points for one ticket. We are going to have 4 winners winning 55-inch TVs, whereby you have an opportunity to redeem 10 points for one ticket. Official EPL football jerseys, which is going to go home to 20 winners, and 60 people are going to be credited at least $200 each on their account. How do you join? Now, we're going to have the monthly lucky draws, whereby each and every month we are going to have draws. In the next 25 days, 14 hours and counting, you are going to have an opportunity to be enrolled in the monthly lucky draws. How do you join? You go over to your HF, log in, go over to the promotions, join the score and row, click the join promotion, trade and earn points, and then you have an opportunity to allocate them across different draws for exclusive prizes. I do have a question from Ice Geek 254. Do you offer more advanced sessions apart from the 1 week course? Yes. If you go over to our starting off with the seminars, if you are going to be around Naivasha, you have an opportunity to join our seminar at the Lemayan Suits, which is going to be today and tomorrow. Click register now to book your slot. Then on 7th and 8th of November, we are going to be in Nakuru at the Amana View Hotel. If you want to join advanced sessions, you go over to the webinars segment on Learn to Trade on our platform, and then I am going to have a session today at exactly 7 p.m., which is going to be today once again, whereby I'm going to talk of market structure-based trading techniques. This is going to be a complete advanced strategy. How do you go about it? Click on register now, book your slot. If you do click on register, it's going to pop up a new tab whereby you have an opportunity. Are you going to be a new client? If you have an account, click on existing client. Use the email that you have used to register your account with and the password. If you don't have any account, kindly put in your details and click register now. If you do register, an email is going to come confirming that you have booked your slot for the advanced sessions. Now, moving over to the morning market call currently at the moment, we do have earnings season currently ongoing, whereby we do anticipate earnings from BMW today before market open. We do anticipate earnings from BT Group, Fresnisius, Humanum, Teva pharmaceutical industries. McDonald also is going to release their earnings today before market open. Albemarle Corporation is also going to release their earnings today. So is Devon Energy, Qualcomm, Snap, and then Snap is going to conclude their earnings today with after market close. Quite interesting. If you are a stock trader and you do trade any of these stocks on the platform, kindly watch out for the news that is going to be released at that particular moment in time. Moving over to the economic calendar, this is whereby we usually start our day to generate ideas. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I usually do is look at the economic calendar. How am I going to generate ideas of what I'm going to look at? Now, if I look at the red folders, let's say, for example, today at exactly 4:45, now these tab is going to be GMT plus 2. If you are in Kenya, we are in GMT plus 3, meaning this is going to be at exactly 4:45 a.m. in the morning, whereby we did have PMI data coming in for the Chinese yuan. Now, the previous number was 59.2. We were having a consensus of 52.6, and the actual data came in at 52.6. Now, what is the PMI? PMI is one of the leading indicators that we usually look at as traders. Chef 32 checking in. Welcome, brother. Now, this is going to be important because this is one of the leading economic news releases that we traders usually look into. Why? It tells us how businesses are performing. Now, they ask from senior executives at both private sectors and state-owned companies, and they ask these people, how do you feel about the relative level of economy currently at the moment? Are you guys employing people? Do you have inventory? If you have the products, are you selling the products? Now, whenever anything happens to an economy, the first people to be affected are usually businesses. Now, if the data comes out above 50 level, it means the markets or the economy is generally expanding. If the data does come in below 50, it means the economy is shrinking. Currently, at the moment, we do have 52.6. And if I do click on the read official report, it's going to open a new tab whereby I want to listen to the comment from the China General Services PMI, Yao Yu, who's the founder for this document. Now, the rating dog China General Services PMI fell slightly to 52.6 in October, indicating that the pace of expansion slowed slightly. In terms of sub-components, demand for services remained in expansion in October, though performance diverged, specifically affected by increased instability in the global trade environment. Quite interesting. Now, new export businesses fell noticeably into contractionary territory. The domestic market saw some improvement in demand, and the total new orders remained in expansion. With the pace of growth quickening, quite interesting, future businesses activity expectations remained at high level, though the overall level of confidence weakened slightly in October. Employment remained in contraction, but the pace of reduction did slow. An improvement in efficiency led to a contraction in backlogs of work for the first time in 7 months. Now, overall speaking, demand in the services sector remained in expansion in October, although complex trade conditions inhibited export business. A solid improvement in domestic demand continued to drive the expansion of new orders. The sustained contraction in employment and pressures on profit margins remain the main constraints facing the sector. Now, when looking at China currently at the moment, they do depend more on exports. Now, looking at this information that we are receiving right now, yes, the markets are still in expansion territory, but we are slowing down compared to previous months. Why? Because of the global economy currently at the moment. We have been seeing tariffs being impacted on China. China were buying energy from Russia. Currently at the moment, with the sanctions from the United States of America, we are going to see an uptick in the demand of energy. We are seeing the global economy currently at the moment shrinking. And this is affecting the Chinese people. Why? Because most of the times they do depend more on exports compared to imports. And this is quite interesting. How does this affect price action? Yes, I'm in Kenya. I'm looking at data from China. How will I use these opportunities to trade? Now, an important thing to note is that the government shutdown in the United States of America has just become the longest in history, whereby we are now currently 36 days into the government shutdown. quite interesting. And we haven't received major news releases, including non-farm payrolls for last year. There's a potential that we might not even receive non-farm payrolls this upcoming Friday with the ongoing government shutdown. Now, there are talks of how they are going to go about it with the war between the Democrats and the Republicans. And at the moment, as it stands, it is mentioned that 0.25% of GDP is being lost every week as per the government is shutting down. And when it does reopen, what does this mean for the economy, including Mr. Jerome Powell? We do anticipate the Fed Reserve. There was anticipation of the Fed Reserve lowering interest rates come December. But with the ongoing government shutdown, what is this going to mean for us as traders? Should we be looking at more buying opportunities or selling opportunities in some of the assets, which we are going to look at in just a moment? Itachi, welcome to the stream. Now, the next FOMC meeting is going to be in the next 35 days, 11 hours and counting. Now, looking at it, okay, the statistics has actually jumped down. Looking at yesterday, whereby we were looking at a 32% chance of whereby the Fed have a potential of holding interest rates. We are seeing now the statistic go down, and I would want you to go to our YouTube channel, subscribe. Usually when we have these morning market calls, we usually update them to our YouTube channel, whereby if you don't have time, you can always go through them. And we have been talking about this data for quite some time, whereby yesterday we did see this data around 69%, and this was around 30-something%. But currently at the moment, we are seeing the probabilities going down on holding interest rates, and the probabilities of reducing interest rates are actually improving. Currently, as it stands, there's a 375 to 400 basis points. That is the current interest rates that we do have. But as when it comes to in the next 35 days, there's a potential, there's a 74.1% chance that we are going to have interest rates being taken further down to 350 to 375 basis points. Now, I want to switch over to the charts. Charles Kim, good insight. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I am humbled to be here with you today. Let me switch over to the charts. Now, we have been looking at a few assets, and I want you to go back to this week entire series that we have just been having at exactly 10 a.m. Now, going over to the charts, I want to start with the precious metal gold, whereby yesterday we were looking at these two regions, quite interesting, around 39.64, which is well below the $4,000 an ounce region. And we had identified the prices was constricting to the upper side. We had this wedge forming, and we were looking at a potential region of resistance at 40.37 and a potential region of support, whereby we had identified those potentially prices do break to the downside, then this region of support could come act as a resistance. Now we are having candlestick struggle to break to the upper side, whereby if I do get a candlestick that closes well below 39.64, I would consider looking at selling opportunities in the markets. But on the other hand, if we do close with a candlestick that is well above 39.64, I would consider looking at potential buying opportunities, prices coming back to 40.37 region. But currently at the moment, the dollar is gaining strength, and we have been seeing profit taking on the metals, whereby we had this change of character, whereby prices started making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Currently, at the moment, we are in a lower high territory, and I would want to see how prices are going to react in between 40.37 and 38.88. But technically speaking, looking at it, the dollar is gaining strength, and I would want to consider looking at short opportunities on the precious metal. Looking at silver, price action is similar, whereby we were looking at these two regions yesterday, and we were looking at 48.214, whereby if the markets did break to the downside, there was a potential of prices continuing further to the downside. The markets did close well below that region, and I would want to look at potential of the next region of interest for me will be these relatively equal lows that are residing below 46.8 region on the precious metal. This is silver that we are looking at currently at the moment. This is going to be 46.8 region. If prices do break and close, keyword here, if it does break and close below this region, I would want to look at selling opportunities, potentially prices moving back down to 45.6 region. I want to switch gears to USD JPY, whereby we did an analysis yesterday, and we looked at this Fibonacci level, whereby we did identify from this swing low to this swing high, we were anticipating a potential retracement of prices coming in to the golden retracement region, which is in between the 50% level and the 61.8, and prices did come into that region, tapped into that perfect 50 retracement region, and now we are retracing back to the upper side. If you do get a candlestick that closes above 153.671, I would consider looking at more buying opportunities on the markets, potentially prices coming to the highs that was formed on Monday at exactly 154.496. Switching gears to GBP against the United States dollar. If there's any asset that you want me to look into, kindly put it in the chat section. I'll be glad to look it up for you. GBP USD, when we did the yesterday's morning market call, prices were around this region here. Beautiful stuff that we are seeing, whereby we had identified a high at 1.31633 and the low at 1.30966, and we had identified that if prices do break to the downside, there's a potential of prices continuing moving further to the downside, and indeed prices did move in our favor, almost 85 pips to the downside. That is quite a decent amount of range whenever I'm looking at GBP against the United States dollar. Currently, at the moment, I would want to draw Fibonacci from this swing high to this swing low, potentially looking at regions of interest whereby the support has just been broken, and could it come and act as a resistance in the near future. If prices do come in between the golden retracement region, once again between the 50 and the 61.8 level, I would consider looking at more selling opportunities on the British pound against the United States dollar, whereby prices are making lower lows, lower highs. Lower lows could be potentially form a lower high for a continuation further to the downside. AUD USD. Okay, and check your email. Okay, I will check my email after this. Australian dollar against the United States dollar. Quite interesting. We did see the Australian Reserve Bank of Australia holding interest rates earlier this week. Very, very interesting. But currently at the moment, we were identifying this region well below here, whereby this candlestick did break to the upper side, but the subsequent candle did close above that range. Now, currently at the moment, the trend is to the downside. Every currency against the dollar is losing value, and looking at AUD USD is not being spared currently at the moment. This high failed to break the most recent highs. Could we have a short-term retracement on the market? If I can zoom in and draw Fibonacci level from this swing low to from this swing high to the swing low, I would want to identify how prices are going to react to this region. If at all we do come in between the magical retracement region, which acts as a region of interest, whereby prices did consolidate here for quite some time. If I can pick a measuring tool for almost 60 hours, prices did consolidate around the 0.65435 on Australian dollar against the United States dollar. If we have a short-term retracement, prices coming back into the golden retracement region, I would consider looking at more selling opportunities on Australian dollar against the United States dollar. On the other hand, if prices do decide and close well below yesterday's Asian session today, whereby if we have a candlestick that closes below 0.64577, I would consider looking at shorting opportunities, but I would want to be very careful because in the past, this was 17th of October, this region did act as a region of support, and I want to see if the support is going to be broken and turning into resistance in the near future. Looking at Euro USD, if you have any asset that you want me to look into, kindly put it in the chat section. I will be glad to look it up for you. Euro USD currently at the moment, Euro USD and GBP USD are positively correlated, meaning if one does move to the downside, the other one usually does follow suit. Now, currently at the moment, I'm looking at these highs and these lows, and I want to look at the dollar index currently at the moment, whereby we have been seeing strength in the dollar. And yesterday we had Trump releasing his speech, whereby we want to see from his tone, where are the government going to go to next? Are the Democrats and Republicans going to agree on the funding? Are the government going to open back the doors? Are we going to see the release of very important, crucial data, including the non-farm payroll, including the commitment of traders? Once again, if you go over to our website, we have just rolled the score and raw promotion, whereby you have an opportunity to win a brand new BMW 4 Series. If I can just go back here, it is a two-door, very beautiful sports car, if I can say, whereby you have an opportunity to redeem points for the tickets. Not only that, you are going to have UK Premier League trips for two. You and your better half flights, accommodations are going to be paid for, and the match tickets. Four winners are going to have 55-inch TVs. We are going to have 20 winners winning official EPL football jerseys of their liking, and 60 people are going to be credited $200 into their account. Kindly go over to the HFM promotion segment and look at what we have currently ongoing. Looking at price action on Euro USD once again, if we do break below 1.14710, I would consider looking at short opportunities on the euro against the United States dollar. We had yesterday President Lagarde releasing a speech twice, and it was quite interesting, noting that the economic uncertainty around the European region is quite alarming. And what are the European Central Bank, going to do about it? Are they going to lower interest rates? Are they going to increase interest rates? And this is going to be something that we want to keep a keen eye on. Now, today is a Wednesday, the third day of the monthly candle, meaning the monthly candle is still very young, and this presents us with a lot of opportunities to trade in the financial markets. Looking at oil, starting with US oil. Now, US oil, we did have this high being formed, and I did pull a Fibonacci from this swing low to this swing high. I do anticipate prices coming into the retracement region. If it do come around the 50% region or close to, whereby we do have this region of support, this is just shy of the $60 a barrel, which is a psychological level whenever we are looking at the charts. If prices do come to this region, I would consider looking at more net long opportunities on US oil. The same could be said on UK oil, whereby they are positively correlated. I do have a Fibonacci level. Okay, so the Fib still stays on US oil, on UK oil. Quite interesting. But once again, if I do get prices coming in between the golden retracement region on the Fibonacci, I would consider looking at more net long opportunities on the commodity oil. Looking at it currently at the moment, we are in between the 65.38 and the 63.93. Hello, Big M. Nice to see you. Now, looking at UK 100, which is the FTSE. Now, this is the benchmark of stocks in the UK. These are the top 100 companies in the United Kingdom. Yesterday, we were looking at these potential regions whereby prices did break to the upper side, but closed almost at the opening price. Quite interesting. Whenever you get prices opening and closing almost at a similar region, it shows that the investors, buyers and sellers, are really struggling for these markets. You can see how sellers did try to push the markets to the downside. Buyers drove the markets back to the upper side, and then the markets did close almost exactly to where it did open. This shows us that there is friction, there is a tug of war between the buyers and sellers, for which traders you want to look at, okay, who's going to come out with the upper hand. Currently at the moment, ever since the markets did open today, the markets did move aggressively to the downside and came back retested on the opening price of the daily candle at 9,707. If you do close above this region, I would consider looking at more buying opportunities on the UK 100, whereas on the other hand, if you do close well below 9,583, which is quite a decent amount of range away, I would consider looking at shorting opportunities. But currently at the moment, the FTSE is firing on all cylinders, whereby prices has made a high from this low, and this was just a short-term retracement for prices to continue moving further to the upper side. Not only on the UK 100, if you look at the S&P 500, yes, we did have that correction, and this was yesterday's analysis, which is still valid, whereby if prices do come in between the 50 and the 61.8 retracement region on the S&P 500, I would consider looking at buying opportunities. But if you do break and close well above 6,793, I would consider looking at buying opportunities on the S&P 500. Now, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, are positively correlated, whereby yesterday we did see prices close exactly at the opening price, technically the closing price of 24th of October. Oh, the chef one guy. Oh, you're one guy. Okay, beautiful. I didn't know that. Now, looking at the US 100, the Nasdaq prices are trading well below the closing price of 23rd of October. This was a Friday whereby the markets did close, and then we did see the markets open with a gap the following Monday. Currently, at the moment, prices are filling in this gap, and if we do close well below this region, I would consider looking at sell opportunities on the Nasdaq. But on the other hand, if we do close well above the closing price for Friday, which is around 25,433, I would consider looking at buying opportunities, anticipating that this was a correction of this move whereby prices did make a higher high, a higher low. Potentially prices could move further to the upper side to form new higher highs. Looking at it currently at the moment, earnings are coming in positively for most of the companies in the United States of America. The United States of America, the tech AI boom is really doing good for them, whereby we are seeing a lot of money going into these companies. Yes, currently at the moment, manufacturing is slowing down, but most of the AI stocks are really, really firing on all cylinders. Looking at the dollar index, which is the final asset that I want to look into today, whereby we did see prices gap to the upper side and we are trading well above. Looking at the dollar index, ever since the lows that was created back on 28th of last month to where we are, the US dollar index has gained almost 1.76% of its total value, currently making high highs, high lows, higher highs, and I do anticipate this trend to continue moving further to the upper side. Looking at the 10-year treasuries, the 10-year treasuries did see some partial taking, but looking at it on a higher perspective on the daily time frame, ever since the year did begin around this region, it was exactly this point here to where we are currently at the moment. We are seeing the 10-year treasury is almost at 4% gains, which is quite interesting looking at it, whereby we are seeing more money move into the US economy. In spite of everything that's happening, the dollar is gaining strength currently at the moment, and the charts don't lie, which means for us as traders, you want to look at the trend. Are the buyers in control of the markets or are sellers in control over the markets? Then as a trader, you look at which side are you going to position yourself with. The trend essentially is your friend. Once again, we are going to be in Naivasha today. Go over to the events section, register for your class. If you're going to be in Nakuru, we are going to be at the Amana View Hotel, which is going to be on, let me pull up that tab, whereby once again, if I go over to the promotion segment, this is the promotions that we currently do have, the score and draw. But if I go to the tools and education segment under the event section, we are going to be in Naivasha today at the Lemayan Suits, today and tomorrow. Then we are going to be with one of the best mentors, one of the best people that I've ever met in this life, Mr. Samson Mzera. Then tomorrow, on 7th and 8th of November, we are going to be at the Amana View Hotel. I will have advanced sessions today. If you go over to the webinars and register for it, so it's going to be at exactly 7 p.m. today, whereby I'm going to deliver to you one of the best strategies, market structure based trading techniques. It's going to be in the next 8 hours, 31 minutes. Click on register now and book your slot in the class. I shall see you when you do see me next. Take care of yourselves. The risk management is going to be very important. There are probabilities everywhere around us. It's just upon us as traders to reach out to those probabilities, execute on them, and in the long run, you will be profitable. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves.